coming up on the Invent With Me podcast.
Yeah, but then you'd sort of get psychologically in this space where like I'm already down the path.
Yeah.
That's the same thing in a cult. You think, well, I've already committed. I already shaved my head.
All right, okay.
I bought the Nikes. No.
And later, it's less of a, I have a cool idea. It's more of a, I have something people need, and I gotta get it in their hands. Hello, guys, and welcome to the Invent With Me podcast, where each week we guide aspiring inventors and product creators to turn their innovative ideas into reality. Learn valuable tips, insights, and success stories from a couple guys roughing it in the field of inventing so that you yourself can make your mark in the world. We are your hosts. My name is Grant, inventor of Torque Strap, a killer new spring-loaded cargo strap, a strap so easy to use, you just pull.
And I'm Marcus, inventor of quick tie-down anchors, a very simple tie-down anchor tool that is utilized
Even on round two.
Oh, you know what? Just leave it in there. I'm going to tell you what I invented. I invented the quick tie-down anchors, which is a very simple tool for docks, decks, and trailers that utilizes the gap between the boards.
You guys already know what it is.
You know what it is.
And with us in the studio today, a very special guest, Todd Cruz, a new take on an old symbol. But where do we go from here? Well, that certainly is the million-dollar question. How do we monetize art? Todd, welcome to the studio. How you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. I love your podcast.
Thanks, man. Thanks. That's great to hear.
It's very useful. It gets down into the nuts and bolts details that a lot of people need or want to hear. So,
you know, that means
stuff.
a lot. That means a lot because we've told you before, it's a passion project. We don't do this for any reason other than redemption for our younger selves.
Yep.
And man, if just helping one person in this terrifying journey, that makes every bit of it worth it.
Yeah. It absolutely does. So in your case, you know, we've had a lot of guests who have kind of functional things and products, and I did this because I needed a better solution to something. It's exciting because you have brought to us a design-based thing and an art-based thing.
Yeah, so not functional.
Maybe it's not yet, but it could be.
Yes. It is patented. It has a design patent, so which is a little different than a functional patent.
Utility patent.
Utility, yeah. I heard that design patents will get approved at a higher rate. And of course, they cost a little bit less because less diligence, I guess, to approve it. But,
Sure.
But it has been patented as of late last year. So now I'm on the journey of trying to monetize it. Have a few different avenues that I'm looking at. Mainly, we have this prototype right here, which is a 12-inch, what we're calling a statuette. We want to manufacture this in plastic and have it painted probably similar to that, black and white, to keep the essence of the yin-yang symbol. This is a yin-yang symbol that you can see the yin and the yang in profile
Right.
as you rotate it. Right.
How did you ever think of this design? It's really fun to look at. I don't know if fun's the right word. It's inspiring too, but what prompted this in your mind?
So I've done art for many years, mainly paintings, and my focus has been on abstract art. Thinking about, to succeed in abstract art, it's like coming up with a vision, a new way to see something graphically. People don't have to like it. It just has to be something novel and new. So my mind was always constantly thinking about how could it be innovative? How could it be different than anybody else is doing? So I've always been sort of thinking that way for many years. At one point, I saw this sculpture in Taiwan that had, like you see a word from one direction, and then you go to the 9-degree angle and you see another word. So they cut it in a way. It's called an anamorphic design. Means you see different things from different angles.
Right.
And then, so I just had that going on in my mind, and I was thinking about how could I make anamorphic designs. And then I happened to see the yin yang, and I started thinking about twisting it. Like, could it be made more 3D? And I thought of the design in my head. I wondered if it could be done. I wasn't sure if it could be done, if it could actually be manufactured like that or built like that. And the essence of it would be, I'm sorry.
You're good.
You take a sphere and you cut the yin yang line, and then you turn it 90 degrees and you make that same cut. In my head, that was like, oh, that would be, it seems like it would work. Turns out you can't actually build it out of a sphere. You build it, it can be built out of what they call a bicylinder, which is two cylinders that connect. That intersection of when two cylinders or pipes connect.
That makes sense.
It's also called a Steinmetz solid. That's what this is made out of. And that's because, so you can tell that it's a hard corner right here. So it's not perfectly round. It's not built out of a sphere.
And did you start by taking a sphere and trying a bunch of different variations or a bunch of different versions, or you had it in your head and you found somebody who could help you with that?
I had it in my head, wondering if it could be done, and then I for 2 or 3 years I was just wondering and looking online to see if anybody had done it because I was just curious. And then a friend, a colleague, was good at rendering in 3D, and he built it for me in 3D, digital, and we looked at it and like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I knew I sort of had something there, and then I started looking online again, like, okay, what are the search terms I could try to find this? Turns out we can't find it anywhere. I contacted an expert in the field of yin-yang. She's written a book on the yin-yang, and she goes around the world talking about the history of Chinese art and culture and the yin-yang symbol in particular. And I showed it to her, and she's like, wow, this is really fascinating. And she told me, like, this actually represents some of the philosophy behind the yin-yang better than the circular one, the flat one.
The one-dimensional version of it.
Yeah.
Right.
In essence, it's when you see the yin-yang, you think of a record player spinning.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
Yes.
it goes in cycles. So you think, I don't know if you're familiar with the opposite forces. It's kind of like winter, summer, man, woman, love, hate, whatever.
I kind of picked up on that just throughout my life, the yin and the yang, people using that reference.
So the philosophy is, in every ecosystem, there's forces that are going to that are pressuring it to change into the opposite. And if you just sort of accept that these forces are happening and kind of like don't stress out about things, it's inherent in this system.
Right.
So anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, but
Well, the inspiration of the yin and the yang, the opposite forces. So you spoke with this woman who authored the book. She the Bible on the yin yang.
Yeah, she said it was fascinating, and so I had that expert feedback.
Right.
So what were when people look at it who know what the yin yang and the history and the
Right.
what are they telling you is different about your version of it? What makes it so much different?
Yeah, that's what she told me was that why it's a very interesting design is that the yin and the yang forces are integrated in every. It's not circular like
right.
It's more an integrated whole, and that's what portrays here. So, what I say about this, if this were a large sculpture, say that you're one of your family members or your friend is depressed, you take them out here, and you say, "This is depression," but change your point of view. Understand that there's other thing,
The other side of that.
Look at a different point of view,
right?
And that could be like also for, the conflict that we're facing today politically.
Yeah.
If we can just see see the other side, that's kind of the story that I'm trying to present.
Interesting.
No, that's really cool. Actually, I didn't think about that. When you do see a yin yang, you see it like you said, a record or almost a 2D version of that, and this gives you a 3D. Just a totally different perspective. You walk around, you look at it from different angles, and I think we were talking for a minute earlier. What a cool sculpture that would make, and not even a smaller sculpture like you've got, but a massive sculpture like in front of a museum or in front of a cultural center or whatever it may be, that you could interact with it, you could walk through it, the sun could shine through those holes.
Yeah, let me show you that
concept.
So we could build it like this, maybe 12 to 20 foot tall, because the height of a person, their eyesight would be kind of best here, so you can sort of see the profile up and down. But if we did a massive version, like maybe it's 100 feet long or something like that.
So now he's got the yin yang on its side to where there's an arch underneath where you could potentially walk under if this thing was 20 foot tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it actually has space inside if you wanted to create it architecturally as a building, you could have a lookout tower up there. You know, that's just thinking.
The kids
Slow
could go
down,
up there and
slow
take a picture.
down, Todd. No.
So when did you decide, hey, this thing is kick-ass enough, I'm going to get a patent on this son of a gun?
Well, okay, so I just kind of immersed myself again and like trying to find it's not rocket science. Mm-hmm. It's just another version of a yin yang 3-dimensional, and I searched for years, probably 7 years looking online, just trying to find it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm like, okay, this is it's unique at least, you know. Can I do anything with it? But at that point, I'm like, you know, just thinking about, this would make a cool sculpture, but I don't want anybody to make that sculpture before me.
Yeah.
And that's what drew me. It was the sculpture idea, the large sculpture, that made me want to patent it, because I don't want anybody else to see it and make a big sculpture out of it. I want it to be my sculpture.
Well, now someone could make a giant sculpture out of it, and then you could take them to court, and you could get half the money from that son of a... No, I mean...
I feel like this is a good example because, you know, we talk a lot about people saying, oh, it already exists and I won't be able to do anything with it, or I'm not gonna use my idea. Yeah, the yin yang, there's nothing new about it, right? I mean, it's so old and it's so worldwide, but you were still able to get a patent on a different variation or version of it based on what you did. So when you went to get your patent, did you run into any obstacles? Did they come back to you and say, this isn't different enough and you had to change something, or was it pretty fluid?
It was pretty fluid, but they needed to see, if you just describe this to somebody without them seeing it, they can't imagine it in their mind.
Oh, of course.
Sure.
What does it really look like? And
I can't even describe a torque strap to people. They're just like, oh, yeah, good for you. And they avoid me like the plague.
Yeah.
But the patent was pretty straightforward, and they didn't come back. The government didn't come back and say, you know, need to revise something.
Yeah. Okay.
So got the patent. So that was, pretty straightforward.
Why did you patent it?
Because I want to be the one that makes the sculpture out of it.
So you want to claim the rights to that art in whatever form. You want to claim the rights to any money that could make, and that's fair. That's why you patent things.
Yeah.
I mean, originally the patent office was designed to help people like you to where you have 20 years of a monopoly, quote, to do your thing. So you have now the luxury of time, the luxury of protection, if you can afford to protect it. Now the question is, how do we make money off of it? Now, I know this sculpture wasn't free, and I don't presume you whittled that out of wood on your balcony. So how did you come up with this?
Well, okay, so I probably wouldn't even have invested in the patent had I not come into a little bit of money. Mm-hmm. And so if I had to take it out of my savings or my 401k, I probably wouldn't have done it. I just didn't feel comfortable. But I had this pot of money, like actually about $4,000. Mm-hmm. I'm like, don't even look at it, honey.
Let me
do something with it.
Right.
So the patent. And then once I got the patent, then I'm like, well, I've invested in this. Now let's see if I can make some money. I always knew I kind of wanted to make the sculpture, but the idea became like, so I work at a corporation that sells a lot of products on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I started learning more about Amazon and the size of the market, the size of how many people buy from Amazon Prime. And it's massive, right? And so I started looking online about on the training, people that are doing training about how to sell on Amazon. And one of the messages always was, don't compete on price, try to find an original product. Yeah. And so that kind of keyed in my head, like I've got an original product, I've got a patent, let me make a go of it.
Yeah.
So then I figured out, well, how am I going to manufacture it? And I heard about it going on Alibaba, but then I also saw this product design firm up in Northern California that will go take you the full route. Like they'll proof the design, they'll custom, they'll make it efficient out of the sturdiest, the best quality. Just kind of like I had that level of confidence that a professional engineer that I could talk to will do it the way I want. And so I hired them. I'm about close to $20,000 in now. It's taken 8 months.
Okay.
It's kind of bothering me.
Yep.
I'm at the point where I'm ready to get the quote from their factory in China. Mm-hmm. They have their preferred manufacturing factory.
Would they broker that deal, or would they just let you communicate with the factory?
They want to be the liaison to that factory
There
for
you
quality
go.
control.
Okay.
To help me with any problems, and I asked the CEO about it. He's like, the way they make the money is that they've negotiated a discount, and then they'll take the standard, the difference of the discount
Right.
on every order.
Yeah.
They said if I want to take the order, if I want to take the design out of their hands, and it's my design, I've paid for it, I can take it somewhere else. But I'll just keep going with these guys and see how.
Grant and I both we've talked about this on previous episodes. He and I went different routes when it came to getting our stuff manufactured. I didn't go to a design firm like you did for the prototyping. I did that myself, but I do have a middleman when it comes to actually dealing with China and that. There's benefits to both. In my case, I know that they take their share, obviously, as they should. And if I'm okay with that number and you're okay with that number, then there's a certain safety. They're going to eat, if there's any bad units or whatever, hopefully that they're going to handle that. They're going to eat that. I think that is a big bonus. And definitely, I don't think in that case, there's a negative to it. And what's also nice is you have probably you'll have a minimum you're going to have to order. Once you get past that and once you get more educated, then you can start looking outside of them if you want to. And I think probably three or four of our guests have said it's really a bonus and almost a necessity to have other people lined up who could potentially manufacture your product. And that's it.
Yeah. So also, I felt it was important to have a good quality product
Sure.
at launch, because if I screw it up, I don't want to put a bad quality product and it'll just tank, right? So investing a little bit more. When I saw sort of how if I've got a patent for 14 years, I guess, if I kind of own the U.S. market on something like this for 14 years, I can pay off, $20, $30, $40, $50,000. It may take some time, but it's worth investing that amount to make sure that it's a cool product.
And it's been 8 months. What assurances? I mean, what do you have at the end of 8 months and 15,000 plus the patent? I mean, I'm looking at it, but I'm asking you, in your mind, what do you have, and are you happy with it?
So this prototype, by the way, the problem with this design is that some of the plastic edges are just too thin.
What edge?
Right here. It comes.
I'm going to get up and feel it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Right there.
So we're looking at the prototype.
Edge right here and on the ends.
Okay.
So, and see that little dip right there is because the CAD software wouldn't even allow them to say that this will be molded. It's just too thin.
So is the what we're looking at right now, is it meant to be pulled apart or it's not?
No. So this prototype is not glued together.
Okay.
So when I got it, I told him, like, the problem I see with the design right now is like the edges are coming apart. And even though it's not glued together, like I don't want anybody to see edges like this.
Right.
So it's got to be solid. It's got to look smooth. So we're working through that, trying to figure out, should it be like this piece here is 4 pieces snapped together.
Yeah.
But then they said, well, that's a problem with snapping them together like that. Maybe we should mold it. So now they were looking at a couple different ways of molding it.
Okay.
And now they just came back and said, maybe molding's not the right way. Let's look at a better design on the 4-piece. Because partly.
And did they tell you why you need 4 pieces? Have you tried to 3D print it a smaller version?
Yeah, I did actually.
And that
solid,
was an okay solid.
I guess you could 3D print this
Sure.
hollow. I just didn't want to.
It would have a webbing inside for reinforcement.
Honeycomb.
But anything that generally speaking with 3D printing, anything that you can build upwards. So right, you can't build a hook with an overhanging hook because you can't build down.
Yeah.
But that starts at ground zero, which is the table, the table, and you can build upward from it, even almost horizontally.
But can you 3D print in mass? How long would it take to print 10,000?
I don't care about mass.
I do.
Well, you do
don't
eventually.
You don't yet. Right now,
Yeah.
you care about how do I build this for less
yeah.
than $15,000?
Yeah.
And that's the problem with engineers in the United States. For some reason, it's in our freaking DNA to tell people why something can't be done and come up with a more and more and more complicated thing rather than saying, hey, Todd, could you compromise and make this a hair thicker? And then, we can shove it in a 3D injection and you can mass produce this for $1.50 a piece. That's not in the U.S. wheelhouse. The U.S. wheelhouse is how freaking complicated can I make this and how much can I charge for it?
And I'm no engineer, so I can't sharpshoot.
No, but
I'm not either. Neither is he.
What you do have is a CAD drawing from that smaller version, right?
Yep.
And there's, I think we talked about on another episode, there's a bunch of online 3D printing places that you just send them your CAD file. And I can't see that out of plastic, if you give them the CAD file, that being that expensive to have a couple versions 3D printed. And I'll look those up for you later again, but it's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And maybe, sorry, and if you've already gone through all this and I'm just bringing it up, I just, looking at what I'm seeing on the table right now, that's kind of a rickety version of it.
Yeah.
A
This
3D
is
prototype.
certainly an early prototype. It comes apart. It's not glued. And then this line there, of course, we're going to just go down a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're just trying to figure out how to manufacture it so that it stays together and looks really solid. This is not the final.
Oh, 100%.
But
Well,
if we
how
do,
much more money would you have to spend for it to be the final? I mean, if 15 grand wasn't enough, look, you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
My fear is that you're going to be offended, but I know that I hope you know that I have nothing but intention to help. But we got to uncover what's going on here with all this cost. But you got your note there. Go on.
I think the problem was
Okay.
I expect the engineers should have figured out the right design from the beginning rather than doing a 4-piece and then going back and say, we're going to do a molding. And then now they're going back and say, we got to do a 4-piece. But because every iteration I'm paying hours for engineering work on.
Sure.
I want the highest quality engineering that up front, do it right and don't make it take 8 months.
Well, we've said this many times, and this is a prime example. No one is ever going to care as much about your product as you.
Right.
Not even close.
Right.
I don't care how much you pay them, what school they went to, what CAD program they're using. No one's going to care as much as you are. Now, do I have a simple solution? No, but I would say fundamentally, this is something that you should probably try to make yourself first. You're going to learn a lot you could buy 4x4s at Home Depot, glue them together with wood glue, and then just take a jigsaw and a chisel and a hammer and just start hacking away. And you just build off of that. What is this? How did that come together? Why was this thin part so hard to break? Maybe I should make that thicker because I'm sure in manufacturing they're going to have the same issue with breakage, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of learning on the go.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
But if you talk about the solid 3D printed piece,
okay,
what's kind of cool about this design, think about how if I took 4 of them, they fit together, they nest together,
Yeah.
and if it would be this bicylinder intersection shape.
Okay.
I don't know if I need to show that. So
Right.
it's in a way, it's kind of it could be like a little puzzle thing.
Yeah.
But they do fit together, and it'd be kind of cool to have a little solid one like that, four of them.
You got it.
I mean, I feel like I'm such a proponent of 3D printing now, and especially if you have that file. Tomorrow I would just go. It can't be that expensive to have a 3D print, even that size. Yeah.
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 Yeah, and I did a 3D printed version about that big. It cost me $350 for all the drawing and design initially.
Right. Well, yeah. Now that you have that,
and then I turned that file over to these guys to create the bigger version.
And they said it was too complicated.
I still don't understand. I'm still having trouble understanding why. Yeah, why they made it 4 pieces that stick together with thin edges. Like I feel like the 3D version.
Well,
yeah.
I mean that's the problem. So I don't want the leading edges to be thick,
Right.
Because the yin yang is a very
Sure.
precise. So it's naturally going to be thin on these edges. The middle edge can be cut in a little bit and nobody will even see it. Mm-hmm. So it can be made a little thicker there.
I would love to be on the call with you next time you talk to these people. I just have a million things to say, but number one is why is this costing so much? Why are you taking advantage? Why? I could go on and on. This is why we do this podcast. This stuff drives me nuts. And look, I get it, Todd. I've been there. Like, you just like, hey, I work a 9 to 5. My expertise is, balloon animals, and you're asking me to make this. I get it, man. I've been there. But
we're at the point now where I'm waiting on the quote from the factory in China on how to build it, their recommendation on how to build it.
So now we're asking a factory. What if I told you this? What if I told you that 2 years ago, you could have had this drawn professionally for less than $100, even on SolidWorks? I won't even say drawn, designed professionally on SolidWorks for less than $100 by a guy in Pakistan, sent that straight to a factory in China, and they would have done all the engineering for you for free, Todd. For free.
Yeah, but I mean,
$100.
All right. Maybe I've done the
in
wrong
2 months,
thing.
not 8 months.
But you did. At the end of the day, you did. It's such a shitty. Have to look back and feel like you've done something. You haven't. What you're doing is you're educating yourself, and you're eating crap like we have in other ways. And
part of the reason why I didn't want to immediately engage a factory in China through Alibaba was this will be more popular in China than in the US, because a lot of Asian people really know this symbol. And so I thought maybe they'll steal my design. They won't give me the quality that I need. There might be a language barrier, but to your point, yeah.
Well, and the opposite to that, we've talked about, should I tell people my design and whatever, whether you ask those manufacturers to design it, if you have them do it anyway, they can do it anyway, even though you have a patent here, right? And so it's kind of reversing that decision. You're not doing anything because you're afraid of it.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, if you could get the U.S. market, which is massive for any good product, already kicking ass, you're still going to have to fight the same fight.
Well, that's why I'm not hesitating to just show it on this podcast now, because previously I was hesitating, like trying to be real secretive and trying to do it the right way. My analogy was like, so I have this garden. Say I have a garden.
Yep.
And that's my business. I want it to flourish, but it needs water. Yeah. So I feel like there's a wall there, and that little boy in Holland that's got his fingers in the holes of the wall, trying to control where the water is going to come in. Mm-hmm. I was afraid. I need the water to come in specifically and water my garden, but there's no water coming in.
Yeah.
I was afraid it was going to swamp everything.
Yeah.
At this point, I just want it to rain, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I want things to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like doing a rain dance now.
I feel like the engineering group might be the gardener who's got the watering hose, and they're not turning on the tap, and you're waiting for that. I think I definitely feel like there's tons of things you can just be proactive and start doing with, like, I keep saying 3D printing, but just even that larger the version. And don't be afraid to find. They have a manufacturer. Don't be afraid. We've got a few connections ourselves, and they're out there. It's a lot less scary than you think as far as reaching out to those people and just say, this is what I got, and in a week, like, you're waiting 8 months. That's why I taught myself how to weld during the prototyping. I went down, I took it down to a guy. The guy's like, oh, I'll get around to it. I had a couple $100, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And on my end, I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. And on his side, he's just like, don't care. You're stupid. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like that. But but then you sort of get psychologically in this space where, like, I'm already down the path. Like,
It's the same thing in a cult. You think, well, I've already committed. I already shaved my head.
All right, okay.
I bought the Nikes. No, but it's and no knock to any of this process. I think probably a crap ton of people are also going through the same process.
You're giving immense value right now by being here, and I really thank you for that.
Yeah, and I appreciate the openness to understanding the frustrations and the I feel like maybe I'm being taken a little bit, or it's just taking longer. 100%. The exciting part is there's so many things that I can see, and you hopefully do too, that you can do on the side. And don't think that anything you do on the side of what you think they're doing is anything but an awesome way to jump ahead.
Yeah.
And you can do it for pennies on the dollar compared, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
that's great. The ways I'm trying to make money off of this, again, is like, we'll call this a statuette, 12 inch tall, will fit on people's shelf. It would be probably a gift for a housewarming or a wedding or graduation or just for your own home, something nice to put on your shelf. Or it could be like what we call a figurine, maybe sell in a gift shop.
I mean, it looks like a great product for like a cost plus world market or, what are the home goods?
Home goods.
Like I could absolutely see that kind of stuff there.
And so I'd like to, if they don't require exclusivity, I'd love to present it to them and license it out as that. But the third avenue is jewelry as a little pendant on a chain or a bracelet.
Well, the cool thing that you just said is they two of them fit. Is it two of them fit together or four of them?
2 will fit, 3 will fit.
Okay.
But when you put 4 of them together, it's a bicylinder.
But I mean, what an awesome idea for a sweetheart necklace or his and hers or best friends or, whatever it may be.
And I did have somebody render that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Gold, silver, whatever.
I talked to a licensing company who was interested in helping me license this.
Yeah.
They wanted $7,000 retainer.
Okay.
And then they want 12% of all the earnings that I make.
Okay.
So I said, well, okay. I can kind of see that maybe. But the $7,000 also not just for this, but they were going to explore they're going to do a year's work trying to find as many licensing deals as possible. So maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
The 12% sort of gets them skin in the game, so that makes them really want to do a good job. I get that.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, well, but
it's what they tell you. It's what they tell you to make you feel like, oh shit, they have skin in the game.
Yeah. Okay.
What do they have? They have $7,000 out of your pocket in theirs. The most efficient thing for them to do from that point forward is nothing at all, because anything that they market, any licensing deals they hunt down, anyone they pay to do these things is losing money. That's
interesting. Yeah.
We run into it all the time. So again, no fault of and you only had a conversation. You didn't pay the guys.
No,
that's fine.
I have created my sell sheet.
Good for you.
There's my jewelry sell sheet, and I made another sell sheet for art fairs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I want to build it as a sculpture at what they call an art freeze or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to glance at it while we're talking, but go on.
So I created my sell sheet, and I've gone on LinkedIn, and I found a jewelry company that I want to pitch it to. I've sent 25 to 30 personal messages to people that work at those companies that are buyers and managers and higher level directors and such, saying, hey, I have this great design. Could you help me? Would somebody take a look at it? No responses yet. So I'm getting a little discouraged on that.
I think I said in one of my early days, I had been selling torque strap for like a year. I had a lot of sales under my belt, and I thought this is going to be a home run because I wanted a license. That's what everybody wants, right? We want to kick back and make money, make a check. And I got crickets. And it wasn't like this is an idea that might work, that people might buy. It's like this is an idea that's selling now. I just can't handle it. Do you guys want to make money off of it? And I still got crickets. Yeah. So that is not an uncommon result that you got.
I'd love, it's just a good point in the podcast to reach out. We do talk a lot about licensing. We both are not massive fans, but I would love if anybody out there has super success stories from licensing, and also somebody who might be in licensing or somebody who can also help us. Every time we hear, it's like they wanted, $10,000 up front. They wanted $15,000 up front.
$20,000. We heard the last episode.
$20,000 up front. I would love for somebody to validate that number and say, like, this is exactly why these happen, and not that it's just money going into their pockets. Because I feel like the second they have that money, they have no more interest or need for anything else after that.
There is a podcast on YouTube that's dedicated to licensing coaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 founders.
Yep.
And I talked to them also.
Yeah.
Oh, what'd they say?
Well, they're selling a $3,800 course to do your coaching for you to do it yourself.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh. I'll say, so
and let me guess.
Do I want to pay somebody to license it? Do I want to do it myself? Is this going to distract me from the statue work that I got to do? I'm just like,
yeah.
And you know what the big secret in that packet is going to be? Aim to call each company over 100 times before you move on to the next one. That's the super pearl of wisdom you're going to get. Did you really need to buy a course to figure out persistence? Still, if you have to call a company 100 times, dear God, I can't imagine how bad you're annoying them.
Well, yeah. And I don't know if the licensing is going to pan out or if it's going to be decent money.
But it only pans out when you make something of it.
Yeah.
A company is missing out on nothing right now by not having your product. But if that product is taking sales or proving sales right in front of their face, oh my God, this guy is robbing us blind because we're missing the entire yin-yang Asian culture, whatever it is. This guy's cornering the market and he's growing fast. They're going to scoop it up and they are going to pay you a license. But that doesn't happen when you're a guy at his house printing out a sales sheet describing what something looks like. No offense. There's no story here. There's no brand. There's no structure. There's no threat.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's a what do you call it? Chicken and the egg.
It's like a yin and a yang, right?
but it's also it's like the yin and the yang. Ha, ha, ha. But it's doing, to give credit, it's doing something. You brought up earlier, like, I don't know what to do and I'm a little overwhelmed. We've talked about analysis paralysis, and every day I'll get some version of that. I've just become better at not letting it kick me. But even just making a small list, and that's a great start, because you start visualizing the things you can do and want to do. Make a list, and just those small things, like tomorrow, look up a 3D printer place and get my CAD file to them. Whatever it may be.
This it's not a profession. This pursuit of invention, it requires you start realizing that you've got to be disciplined.
Yes.
You've got to figure out, use your time wisely, get rid of all of those habits that aren't productive.
Yes.
I've got a lot of those damn habits that I just, whether it's just flipping through videos or watching something else on YouTube, anyway.
Well, no, not anyway. To reiterate, though, you have a full-time corporate job. You do well doing that. You would love to transition or at least see this come to fruition on the side until it becomes something bigger. Yeah. So time is you also want to check out of that job. You want to come home and you don't want to think, oh man, now I have to make big decisions, or it's effing hard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's effing hard. And it's also hard because the people who surround you, your family or your friends, regardless of if they like your idea, they have no investment in it, and they don't have that, like, you can do it and you should do this. They've got their own lives. They're doing their own thing.
Oh, they don't want to see you succeed either. I mean, it's a sad thing, but no one wants to be proven that they could be doing more with their life. So what you're going to hear from the friends and family is like, what are you doing again? Oh, good luck with that. I got my 401k vested up. I'm set to retire in 7 years. I'm going to be taking home X amount, which is going to equivalent to like nothing with inflation in 30 years, but I could go on and on. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to bring up a point.
Tell me why. Give me the background on, you said something at lunch today that really touched me. And I think what I want to do is redirect this, because we kind of been hammering on you, but I want to be really positive from here on out. So anybody listening from here forward, this is all going to be a path to success. My goal is that by the end of this show, we're already 40 minutes in. Didn't that fly by?
Yeah.
Wow.
By the end of this show, you're going to have a tangible path for you and your family to really get this going. And no more of these wait on one person for 8 months. No. We're going to drop them like a bad habit whenever you run into things like that. Going back to the beginning, you said that you wanted to instill the entrepreneurial spirit in your daughters. And I'm a father of two. That hit home for me. I totally hear you. Tell me why you care to give that to them.
So the young people nowadays have a challenge on their hands because, college is so expensive and homes are so expensive, especially in California. And the competition among, if you get into a good school, which my kids were in a really good school in Cupertino when I lived up north. They were surrounded by overachievers, and I don't, there's just a lot of pressure on these young people to do well, and so they're looking for a direction in life. They don't know which way to go. And I just think, based on my experience in a corporation, that may not necessarily be a great route for them. If I had to do it all over again, I'd probably do something like science and physics or something. But regardless, I think the entrepreneurial route is so compelling nowadays. At least that there's so much information out there. You like the CAD, the 3D printing, the artificial intelligence, the online courses that are for free.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need college anymore. You just need to have discipline to
Right.
go out and want to do something. So I think that there's a great future, especially because college is so damn expensive. I just think there's a great future in young people just charting their own path. And that's what I want to help my daughters. They're in their 20s. They're trying to figure out where to go. And I just thought I had this, and I'm like, come on, girls, let's do it together. So,
And what's been the feedback? Is it that it's hard to get them interested because they don't understand, or they're just younger and they're like, hey, we'd rather be TikToking? And
yeah, I mean, I'm seeing it. So I have an MBA in marketing and strategy, and I'm like, I'm doing this stuff every day. So like maybe some of the words that I'm using with them, that's kind of like it's a little bit overwhelming to them. A little bit of the deer in the headlights. They're not sure what to do, how to help. They want to help, but they really don't know what to do. And so should I spend my time, sort of focusing on education programs with them and consulting, or should we just dive in and learn on the job?
Yes.
That's kind of
The
what we're
second
doing.
one.
the second
one, please.
Dive in.
That's
Dive in
what we're
right
doing.
now. Yeah.
And here's what I forgot to tell you before. Like a great tool that I got in my current job or working in the corporate world, the Gantt chart. It's just you know what it is? Just like
I've heard of it. Remind me.
It's just lines on a chart that give you a certain time frame. Like you got your dates going this way. You pick what are we going to work on this week or these 2 weeks. And then you can see a path for you just divide your work into separate little work streams and you do it.
Dad, you're such a loser. Look, man, you can't give your daughters a Gantt chart. I used to work for my. I know that's where your brain
They're not
goes.
going to be home for dinner the next week.
No, you're right.
You are indoctrinated, my friend, and I used to be indoctrinated too. Right? You live in the corporate world. I was in the construction, but I worked for the giant companies. I went through all the protocols, the trainings, the optimizations, the workflows, the so many freaking acronyms. Anyway.
Yeah.
Look, it's going to be. I want to ask you this: would you be upset if your daughters just went into 9 to 5s and ended up not liking it, and then next thing they know, 20 years has gone by?
Yes.
That would hurt, right?
Yes.
You don't want that for your daughters. I don't want that for your daughters. I don't want that for my daughters. Now, for some people, that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, sure.
And that's great. That's a great thing. My wife and I have a really good dynamic. She tried the entrepreneurial thing, and it really wasn't for her, and I really pushed for it. But I'm really glad it didn't work out because she makes the 6-figure salary. And those 2 years where I was making no money, in fact, losing money, we were able to balance out. But what I want to ask you is this. Why is it so important that your daughters learn how to make money in a different way than just asking for a paycheck?
I just want to give them security in life.
Freedom, choice.
I want them to have what they want without the stress that I went through.
Yeah.
There was a point in my life with me and my wife, we were, we just got out of business school. We were deep in credit card debt, and we were at the point where we were arguing about buying which clothes at the thrift store.
Of course.
And there was often, we didn't have time, we didn't have money to buy Christmas gifts or whatever, and it was just a stress. I don't want them to face that.
Yeah.
They don't have to be millionaires.
Sure.
Just a happy life.
I completely understand.
Money can kind of bring happiness. It doesn't guarantee happiness, but if you don't have enough money, you're not going to be very happy.
Yeah.
And what fields are your daughters currently in?
My older daughter is a commercial model in San Francisco. She's done like TV commercials for cars and stuff
Awesome.
like that. She's doing, yeah. My younger daughter is exploring. She's working local jobs, and she did Amazon and Target, and she's taking some online courses and figuring out where to go next.
To your daughters, I would ask, not you, I already know, and you know, what do you own right now? So the older one, she's in commercial modeling. Cool. It's good paychecks, you know, job by job, some good contracts. Great. But when it's over, what do you own at the end of it? And the answer is usually nothing. If you've been investing in a IRA, whatever crap ass investment plan you have, you know, good for you. That's something, but really you own nothing. To the younger one, she's too young to lecture. But I love the path that she's on. You know, she has definitely, they both have, look, I started doing this when I was 31. So everybody has super opportunity in front of them, no matter where you're at. But I'll say to them, I think you're going to find a point where you have to buckle down and get a normal ass job. And after about 3 years, you're going to figure out all the routines, all the patterns, all the nuances, which there aren't many. It's just that it's going to kind of bite. You're going to work for people you don't respect. You're going to work for people that you don't like, people that don't like you. And occasionally you'll have a good boss, but he'll move up, and then you'll get another bad one again. And round we go. So I really think I love what you're doing, and I think it's really important that they hear this. Now, on the other hand, if they're at all not into it, and again, I'm a father, you may just have to fire their asses. Because, look, we're here to make money, and if that's not their thing, cool. Maybe you fire their asses in 6 years. They're like, holy crap, Dad, you're my hero, you did it. And you're like, yeah, I told you. So now you want to buy in, it's $100,000 for 20% or whatever it is.
Well, you can learn. Some of the most successful people learn things the hard way.
Yeah.
All of
down
them.
in the dumps, and they're working their way out of that hole. My daughters can learn the hard way in a 9 to 5, a minimum wage job or whatever, as a barista or whatever. They can learn the hard way that way, and then figure out where to go. Or they can start something entrepreneurial, learn the hard way. It's not going to be easy, but then you have this vision of, wow, this could actually be something bigger, and I don't have to report into a certain manager every day or whatever.
Right.
So
I think if Grant had a message for your daughters, they've just turned off the podcast right before he said it, because nobody likes being.
They're gonna hear it. So
No, of course they
talking.
will. But but just back to that idea. You know, the one thing we've learned is nobody is invested as much as you are about your own passion, and no knock to them, and you know, totally different mindset and whatever it may be. But there are so many things that you can do to get out of this little, like, this feeling of, I don't know where I'm at right now. And that's exciting. Like, even what we just talked about, and just doing, even if, I know it sounds silly, but even if it doesn't lead to the next thing, just even having it like 3D printed at that size will automatically get your mind in gear. Like, I'm waiting this long for something to happen.
Yeah.
I could send this off tomorrow, get it back in 4 days or whatever it takes. You're like, that's a week's worth of time that means nothing in your scheme of things. And then you can already start brainstorming whatever. Oh, this is too thin. Well, it's not if I have it 3D printed. It is if I have 4 pieces, because they have to meet each other, right? But if that's 3D printed solid, maybe that issue doesn't even exist. And then even like talking about jewelry, the places that I have had things 3D printed can print in plastic. They can print in other metals. Have some printed at an inch big in metal, or whatever it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, sounds great.
But?
It's the but is just like, where do I put my time, my limited time?
That's no time. You send a CAD file to the thing and you say, I want it printed at an inch in metal, and that's it, 20 minutes.
Okay. Not much time.
Okay.
But it'll take some money.
A little bit.
Hundreds. And, yeah, but maybe doing a dual path would be good for me, and
but that's huge. But what I heard just there is like, and it might take literally, let's say an hour, because you have to go onto the program, you have to upload your file, which is nothing. If you have a CAD, it's that easy. And as far as money goes, I obviously can't give you a price, but even if it's, let's say it's $500, I don't know, but okay. Compared to the 15,000 plus the whatever it is, you're going to have usable, touchable. I can go present this to Zales Jewelry, or I'm just making that, or whoever it is, and showing interest. That's the motivation. I have to do that every day.
I guess my focus is on this. I took out a big business loan.
Okay.
Like $47,000, high interest rate.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And what I didn't really figure when I took it out was 8 months long. The monthly payments of about $1,700 a month have drained like now $12,000 out of that pot.
Sure.
So I budgeted $50,000-ish that would take me through to get a first order.
Yeah.
But now with the monthly payments, I'm basically kind of running out of money, and I won't be able to take the next step on this of actually placing my first order. So I've got to go back and get some more funding.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at, and I guess that's where my horse blinders are. Is like I'm thinking about the money right now, and I'm trying to focus on getting this thing done.
Yeah.
Right. So the big question is, how do we start making you money? How do we recoup your investment, and how do we start making profit? Because that's why we're here. We're here to make money. We're not here to dilly-dally around. We're here to make profit. Now, honestly, we spoke about the different angles we could go. The jewelry thing is a freaking home run, man. Okay, so you mentioned to me, I hope you don't mind, your wife's from Korea. I'm just talking about personal details, but your wife's from Korea, right? You go there once or twice a year. Korea is a mecca for manufacturing, and they are obsessed with gold. Okay, so if anybody knows has a connection, it's you. And there's no better IP protection. You were worried about people in Korea stealing your shit. There's no better IP protection than showing up in person with an NDA, whether you spend $1,500 on the NDA or you do it yourself. I'll look the other way. And shaking a hand and saying, this is what I am, this is what I'm doing. You lie through your teeth. This is my company, and we're looking to order 100,000. But because what my investor stipulation is that the first order is 100 pieces. Now, if you can't afford 100 pieces at $5 a piece out of your own savings or your own pocket, then I'll give you the money. I know you can. So you can have 100 necklaces made. You could have the 3D renderings, the SolidWorks made to fit the mold of a necklace for under $250 on a Fiverr or something. Okay, so you get the renderings made, or the CADs made for the necklace version. You go to Korea, you source it. They're going to be chomping at the bit for your business. You're an American with cash in hand. Okay, it's very straightforward. Now you have 100 units sitting in your garage. You and your daughters look at them. Your daughters love them. They're gorgeous. You showed me the renderings of the necklace pendant. It's immaculate. Now all they have to do is build a Shopify store for free, take images of this thing on their wrist and their necks for free, list it, and build a brand around it and start to sell it. Now, every penny you spend, makes you money back, because every penny you spend is on marketing or little videos or whatever you do, which you can also do really efficiently, in fact, for practically nothing. And that has immediate returns, which is purchases on your website. And then you go from there. And yes, eventually in 3 years, you're doing the 12-inch sculpture, because now you can afford the minimum order quantity for 1,000 12-inch sculptures. And then in 5 years, this thing has become such a household name, you can go commission that giant piece of artwork in Treasure Island or what have you. We talked a lot about your ambitions for it, and I love it. But one thing you told me at lunch was that your older daughter, I believe it was your older daughter, said, well, we need to build a brand around this and a story and why it is, what it is, who it is, how it is. Was that your older daughter?
Yeah.
She is the smartest person in the room right now. She is 150% right.
Okay, let me push back a little bit and see what you say.
That's why we're here.
I was thinking that we just need to get it on Amazon, because there's 200 million buyers on Amazon Prime. It's all about the images and this description on Amazon. They may check our website, but I'm not gonna put too much effort into selling on a Shopify website or building a brand there. It just needs to look professional.
I did not say Amazon. And you're right. You want to do both.
Or Etsy. Like you said, both your daughters or one of them is doing pretty well on that, right?
Yeah, her and her boyfriend, her partner, are doing sweatshirts with anime logos and such.
Sure.
And they're doing pretty well. Etsy, maybe, but I'm really kind of focusing on Wayfair.
Okay.
Because it's a home furnishing store.
Okay.
A little bit different business model where I have to hold the inventory and I guess drop ship.
Which would be for sculptures though, and not for
like
jewelry.
This. Like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what, and I agree with Grant on the idea that you go after what is your easiest start to get you into the positive and that gets you to the next step. I think thinking about a $10 million sculpture is no, it's not.
It's aspirational.
It's aspirational, but it's also you have no money in the account.
Yeah.
But I mean, creating 100 units is doable, and then selling. Art is so. I just bought some jewelry for a friend, and it's like, yeah, it was like $200 or $300 for a little pendant. Man, if people like it, they'll spend enormous amounts, and your margins can be amazing. And then you can order 200 units, then you order 300 or whatever it may be. Yeah.
What you said that I really like is kind of like putting the cart before the horse, like going out there and showing a prototype, even if I don't have it built yet. If I can get an order, then I'll go back and build it or in mass, right?
Yeah.
So I'm still not convinced that I can take a 3D printed solid version and produce them fast enough to sell in mass, but I could figure that out.
No.
If I get.
You're not going to 3D. You're going to 3D print one for your own shits and giggles. 3D printing is literally just for shits and giggles. It's, do I like this? Does it feel good in my hand? What do my friends think? That's it. So don't get hung up. Oh, how many can I 3D print in a week? No, that's not production. Production is, like I said, it's going to Korea. Like for us, we had to do all that stuff over internet, over Alibaba, over the phone. You have a connection, so take advantage of that.
Yeah.
There, like we said, it's a manufacturing mecca over there. You can easily bullshit your way into convincing a current jewelry maker to just change up their process by a hair and make this pendant on a gold chain that's 18 karat.
Yeah.
What's your best price? And you lie. You say you're with a really big company with big backing, big investors. You say, I have a PO ready to go for 100,000 pieces, but you're a new manufacturer. Congratulations. You have the chance to be our certified manufacturer. Prove it with these 100 units. And if they give you a price that's too high, I said, my investors aren't going to go for this. If this is what you're charging me for 100, this doesn't scale. Like, no. And on to the next one. And they know that. They know you can do that.
And I think, so I'll devil's advocate a little bit. It takes a certain level of balls to just walk in and be that, like, I have 100,000 units. I think that's not for everybody. I think you could do it. What?
Why not?
Because people don't have the gumption to walk to or go into a place or call up a thing and say, I'm this person with 100,000.
Can you repeat words?
I'm not saying that you can't be done. You can't do it. I'm saying the majority of people listening are not going to go and be that ballsy, because if they were that ballsy, then they'd be ahead of the game.
And they're not. That's why we're telling them what to do.
100%. But what my devil's advocate is you can still find manufacturers who will give you prices on what it would cost to make something and move forward in that, whether it's the best price you're going to get because they're going to do it for, $1 less than they would, it doesn't really matter. If you can get something that is a good price that works for you, you can get 100 units and you can start selling it. That's what matters. And that's doable. That's doable this week.
Yeah.
It's absolutely doable this week.
So the theory is sort of priming the pump, showing some sales, and then that'll help you get the more sales later.
100%. Well, 100%.
It's just selling. That's it.
It's selling.
It's get the product and sell it.
It is, and it's doing it at a doable thing.
It's not thinking, where could this go? What could this do?
It needs to be repeatable. It needs to be like, okay, if I get the first 100 sales, then I want to now order 5,000 of them or something.
I tell you what, whoever produces 100 for you will gladly, produce 5,000 for you, and that price could be substantially or will be substantially less. And we talk about this too, even with like a single prototype or a one-off, you're going to spend a lot more because they have to do that. But the whole point, I think, is that once you get the ball rolling, and you said it yourself, just jump in. Then you learn all the crap that you didn't know, and it might just be easy sailing. It might be like, well, this can't be made because there's no hole to put the necklace through, or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know that until you do it.
Yeah.
And just keeps. There's one of these motivational guys on TikTok, and he's like, talking about doing it isn't doing it. putting plans forward to doing it isn't doing it. He's like, doing it is doing it. And that was, I'm sitting there like, this stupid guy. And then I'm like, damn it. That's exactly right.
Clicks.
And that's what I've been doing. I'm in the thick of second guessing and then doing it. And then be like, that's so stupid that I wasted time second guessing, because in 1 minute of doing it, it answered the 30 questions that I thought I had about thinking about doing it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the jewelry thing is and again, it's up to you to feel it out, but you have daughters who are already in the world of making shirts and online with that stuff, right? You have one who's a model who would, I'm sure, gladly model your jewelry or even have connections maybe in that world to get somebody to wear it, which is huge. And then sell 100. And what if they sold out, in X amount of time? You're like, oh man, this is really, people love my stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then you're the worry from there is, how do I get more money to buy more product because people want it, instead of thinking, oh, I just need money to produce this. Then it's a no-brainer. It's coming up with money because you have a demand for it.
Right.
So I guess what I'm hearing is, rather than just keep going down this path that's taking too long and taking too much of my money, start branching out and doing it myself.
100%. Because you can.
As an alternative. Okay.
You can, and you can do it in your time frame. Like, I understand, we talked about, you have another job. It takes a lot of your life. But, getting it 3D printed to a size that's jewelry, whatever, to see if it works, maybe that's too big. So you get another one. Oh, that stuff's doable, and it's doable within an hour or 2 hour time frame. Okay. And within less than a week, you will have something in your hand to say, oh no, 1 inch is too big, or they don't fit together like I thought they would. Or, maybe when they're, whatever the case, I need to put magnets in it because otherwise they flop apart. All those questions can be answered this week. Yeah. Instead of, and that's, the biggest thing for me and the biggest propulsion was waiting on somebody. That was the biggest. I was chomping at the bit, and I'm like,
that's exactly how I'm
feeling.
Can't
happen. You can't let that happen.
I am smart enough to find the resources or to find what I need to, and that's what spurred me to get over this. Like, I need people to tell me what to do with it. That was my biggest motivational factor, and that's when I started getting more confident. And the second you start doing that, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. That was for me the biggest thing to push forward. And every day is still one of those, like, should I do this? Should I do this? But now, it like my nervousness time frame has gone from, oh, I'll wait a week, maybe I don't know, to now like minutes, where I'm just like, nope, stupid, let's try it. Okay, maybe it cost me $100 or $2, and it was a shit decision, or maybe it was done. Mm-hmm. So I that's my 2 cents.
No, it's good. It's good. It's like just, I guess, taking ownership and not depending on, like you said, the one that's going to care most about it is me, so I've got to take ownership and push it, keep pushing it in different directions. If this current direction is not fulfilling what I expected, and it's taking too much money and too much time, just
when you don't know
bust
till you
it open
try,
and go somewhere else.
You talk to that one jeweler, you get it on Etsy, you sell 100 units. It could take months, it could take days. People love the hell out of this, and then you're like, oh shit, and then that gives a different avenue, and then other people are seeing that, and then, oh, now I'm going to go to a jewelry store.
My fear was just diluting my money funds. Like if I start spending over here, I'm not going to have money for this. But so
from now on, every penny you put in, you should see and know and feel confident in the 2 pennies that you'll get out. I'll give you an example. I've blown a lot of money, a lot more than you have. I've blown a lot of money in my business. It's over time, And I made a lot of the mistakes you did in the beginning too, don't get me wrong. But I was roughing it. I was really trying to do everything myself. I had no choice. I mean, I started with $4,000, and it was like, that was it. That was everything. We were in our early 30s with a newborn. But I'll give you an example. A penny in, 2 out. I have this dirt bike guy, a YouTuber. He's got over 800,000 subscribers on YouTube. And for a year, I was paying him $2,000 a month to naturally plug my product in his videos. And for a year, I was just blindly paying him without knowing what the return was on that investment. And by the time I looked at my numbers at the end of the year, I wasn't making money. And that's when I realized, when you're a small business, You have to account for every penny going in and know what you're going to get out of it. So he hit me up. He said, "Hey, dude, I know you don't want to do $2,000 a month anymore, but what if I knock it down to $1,000, man? I'm up to almost 1 million subscribers. $1,000 a week, and we'll keep doing what we're doing."
A month.
Thank you, a month.
Yeah.
And I said, "Tyler, unless you can show me the return, I am not personally allowed to do that." And he couldn't, because you can't give a return. Now, what I do by contrast is I give my Facebook ads guy $200 a day to spend, and I get exactly $3,000 back, gross sales. And then after you cut out my cost to produce, cost of goods sold, all that crap. But I know what I'm getting. And so from now on, whenever anybody says, "Hey, do you want to be published on the front of our motorcycle magazine for 6 weeks?" I'll look at it. That's an awesome magazine. I remember that from when I was a kid, this, that, and the other. Good for you, but go fly a kite. Unless you can promise me my return, it's not going to happen. It's 2024. You don't have to put up with that crap. You can figure out what's good, what's bad, what's ugly, and move on. And you always know in your heart of hearts what's an investment and what is not.
It's the mindset of an owner.
It is. And that's why we do this. We wish we could instill it on everybody in the beginning. And I think you can to an extent, but the unfortunate truth is you have to make some mistakes. Paying somebody $3,800 for a course is not going to let you skirt that. Paying an engineering firm is not going to let you wiggle around those pain points. You're still gonna hit pain points. It's actually going to be worse. It's going to be amplified because now you lost $15,000 and you learned the hard lesson. So going back. In order to sell this product, this is the only thing that I've seen that you've been lacking. We had an hour lunch. We've been here for over an hour now. Where's the story? Why do I care about this yin yang? It looks cool from 2 angles. That's awesome, but that's not enough for me to buy. And you, Todd, need motivation every single morning when you wake up. More than just money, more than just your daughters. Why this is good for everyone. Now, you're a man, I'm assuming in your late 50s, early 60s. You've been married. You were in the Army. Just being married alone. You've seen some shit, right? There's meaning to this venture, to this point of your life, to this turning point, to this, I was doing this, I was in the cogwheel, and now I'm getting out. I don't know what that is. I don't care to find it on this podcast, but what I care about is when you go to bed tonight, you think, what does the yin-yang represent to me, and what can be my mantra so that every morning I know people have to have it. I love taglines. Marcus has them, I have them. Load safe, load smart, whatever. It doesn't matter. But my background, my story, a bungee hook went through my dad's hand when I was 15. I thought there's got to be a better way. There's been so many times in my short 4-year career of Torque Strap where I've had to wake up in the morning and be like, remember, if you can stop one person from getting hurt today, and for you, Todd, if you can motivate one person to listen to their partner's word from their perspective, we talked about how that's a big part of yin and yang. If I can help one couple get through a hard time, because I've been through a hell of a lot of them with my wife, if I can do one good thing today, then I'll have done my job. I'll feel good. You got to find that tagline, that mantra, and you got to live it, man. You got to live it.
And that's the importance of brand, right? That's
part brand.
That is brand.
And that's why your older daughter is a genius.
If you're listening.
Yeah. You're not fired. He's not going to fire
you. Not yet.
She's an owner. My daughters are owners.
There you go.
I set up my LLC. I'm 52%. They're 24 each. Mm-hmm. I think that's 100%, right?
Here's what you do to test them. Say, Grant and Marcus will buy your guys' shares for $500. See what they say.
Yeah.
How do you feel, Todd? I don't want you to leave here with any confusion, with any question of where to go from here.
Yeah, so
it's a lot to process too. I get that, but
here's how I'm leaving it: is I just love this idea of pursue different avenues. Go on Alibaba, create some 3D printed models, start showing people, start getting the feelers out there for different directions. I've got to keep pursuing the licensing with the jewelry. Maybe I need to do a little differently. But no. I really love this idea. I know you're not big on licensing, but I'm gonna keep pursuing.
But it's your time, right?
Yeah.
You've said you don't have time. And and by the way, nobody has time. You got to make it, but you can only make so much time.
So you don't believe in the licensing of the jewelry?
I don't believe in spending your time sending random ass companies phone calls and emails. No.
But what the other part that you said I'm really going to follow is like when I'm going to Korea later this fall,
right?
And I'm gonna bring the 3D printed versions and start showing people and working more like an entrepreneur, basically, more like a salesperson, not a salesperson, but a business owner.
All of it, man. You're an engineer, you're a salesperson, you're a marketer, you're all these things. But the cool thing is you don't have to be an expert in any of it. You just have to know enough to be dangerous. And being in the corporate world, as long as you know plenty about a little to be dangerous.
Well, and just to not knock the licensing part of it, if you did create those 100 or whatever it is, and you get those out and you start selling the crap out of those, and there's what a different powerhouse you are with, then the licensing becomes, oh man, we can do this for you and you're already killing it. We can make it, 100,000 units. So I think I just, my gut tells me that that's something you can do now. It's something that is totally doable, and there's no reason why you wouldn't go that avenue.
And mentally, I guess the direction is start thinking more like a business owner, like really stop waiting on others to deliver.
100%.
Go out there and do it.
It's less of I have a cool idea. It's more of I have something people fucking need, and I got to get it in their hands. Because it's the truth, Todd.
Yeah.
It's the truth. People need this. You'd be doing them a favor by taking their money and giving that in exchange. And if you don't like the jewelry, if you want to start with a 12-inch sculpture, all these apply exactly the same. It's totally up to you. It's the same principles, but we're not aiming for commissioning a sculpture in downtown Burbank. We're not aiming for licensing it and collecting checks. Because how are you don't get a seat behind the accounting desk at whatever company you account to or that you license to. Mm-hmm. You don't know the true numbers. You're going to be playing a guessing game your whole life. Now, by contrast, in 5 years, when people are knocking you off every week, you can afford to hire one lawyer and say, go hunt them down and make them sign over royalties from here on out. And now they're making money off of what I proved can work. Odds are somebody could see that. And because they're not you, because they haven't been through what you've been through, because they don't know what you know about the yin yang and what your specific design represents that no other design of the yin yang does, because they don't have that in their brain, Todd, they could never do what you're about to do. And when you prove that this is how this can go, it's going to explode. It's not going to happen tomorrow.
I mean, and it doesn't. I mean, I don't know crap about crap when it comes to things, but I do know that I've been, buying some jewelry. I understand what yin yang is. I always have. I love the idea, and I think yours is a super great take on that. And I just know what people like when you're online searching for things or something unique or something interesting for couples of any sort. Then that's such a cool take on it, and part of that the home goods or the 12-inch, it doesn't have to be 12 inch. That's the cool part about the 3D printing. And I don't know the prices, and I know money's tight, but if you could do 4 different versions, 12 inch, a 6 inch, you could take that in front of somebody. And I think that's the big key is people like something they can touch.
Yeah.
And then you make 2 versions and you go into a home goods or whatever. This is how it works. This is what it is. Yeah. It can be done. That's it. And just talking to people, I went into not on a tangent, but I went into Harbor Freight, and I feel like eventually my product would be a good, a Home Depot, Harbor Freight, whatever it is. The manager, I started talking to her. She was cool as hell, and she gave me some great advice. And it was just, I showed it to her. She's like, I have a quad at home. This would be great. I could see it in this aisle, this stuff. Yeah. Just that motivation. And if you have something, you go into, this is how it works and this is what it does. Man, what a difference than this idea of maybe.
Yeah, no, that's great. And this is a design that you really can't understand through a photograph. You've got to see it in person or at least see a video rotating it. So
yeah.
It doesn't remind me, but do you guys remember the salt lamps, right?
Yeah.
Big old hunk of rock salt that glows. Yeah. They look cool enough, but the reason I bought one was I believed it would help me sleep better. That was their mantra. That was their tagline. That was what they were selling, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, is it true? Is it false? I don't know. but
If you
there's a
believe
good
it.
lesson
Okay.
in that. If you believe it, it's true.
Here's the mantra for this thing.
Yeah.
I love it. Give it to me.
So, like, imagine like if you're feeling down, if you're depressed, or you're angry, and you go to the park and you see this with your friend, and you look at it and you start thinking about it, and like, I'm seeing it from this side, but there's a whole other. If I just change my point of view,
Yeah.
there's you got to think, understand other points of view, and then it will help you.
That's it.
No, but
Other
that is-
people's points of view. That's beautiful.
Well, and also the same, just simplifying that, the same exact thing from 2 points of views is completely different, right? So
Exactly.
you've got one statue, you've got one problem, you've got one dilemma, one person, whatever it is. If you just take the time to walk around the other side, which takes no time at all, and get a different perspective, it's an absolutely whole different thing.
It requires the user participation to participate in this philosophy, rather than just looking at a spinning disc that says, oh, it's going to cycle through this and it's going to cycle through that. I don't know, it's kind of corny, but
It's not
It's
corny.
not at all. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a girlfriend when I was 19. She was obsessed with this kind of anything that represented love. Buy me a promise ring. I know we can't get engaged yet, but buy me a promise ring. Buy me a this, buy me that. It meant so damn much to her. Now, what if I told you that in a time not far from now, any guy who has a girl that he's having a bad fight with could get on Google and type in the phrase, which I guarantee you is searched 100,000 times a day, how can I make up with my girlfriend? What if your result was like the third on that page?
relationships.
Relationship. On one is my initial, on the other is her initial.
And these two fit together in harmony.
Whatever it is. But if when he gives it to his girlfriend
Yeah.
and he says, honey, this is to always remind me that this is my side, but when I don't understand it, I'm going to look at it on your side.
Then we've sold two.
And you've sold two.
There you go.
And the guy gets laid that night and everybody wins.
Yeah, great. Love it.
All
Thank
right,
you.
man. Cool. Well, hey, man, this has been a lot of fun, Todd. I really appreciate you being candid. You were vulnerable, but it was very necessary. Anytime you have any more questions, hit us up on the email, anything.
You guys are smart at this, and I really appreciate it. I love your podcast, and I'm so glad that I took the time to come over.
Us too.
We're glad you came,
Yeah.
man. Thanks a lot, Todd. All right, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for episode 25. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. And if you're listening, follow the show on whatever platform you may be on. Remember, Marcus, Todd, and I took the punches so that you don't have to. Take advantage of that, and we'll see you guys on the next one.